While the president visited New York today, the White House decided to stop all comment about what actually happened Sunday night at Osama bin Laden's compound. The shifting account coming from the White House as it has released new details, sometimes in conflict with old details, has annoyed journalists who don't seem content with the White House's fog of war excuse. But annoying the news media is easy. Annoying these Americans with conflicting details about exactly how Osama bin Laden was killed seems impossible. Joining me now is Eugene Robinson, MSNBC analyst and columnist for The Washington Post. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, Gene.
It's great to be here, Lawrence.
Gene, reporters have to ask questions. They can't sit there and not ask questions. And so, of course, they ask questions about details. And then when those details change, they ask questions about why those details changed. It's not clear to me how much the reporters themselves actually care, what the real details are about what happened inside the compound. But I'm not getting the sense that anyone beyond the press corps really cares very much about exactly what happened after those Navy SEALs went in there and took Osama bin Laden out dead.
I have the same sense that you have, Lawrence. I don't think anybody really cares. What were the rules of engagement? Well, duh, it was Osama bin Laden. And I don't think anyone is worrying about technicalities very much. And frankly, the exact sequence of events in there, I think, are just lost on most people. They don't care.
The president's trip to New York today, first of all, I'd like to get your impressions of it, its appropriateness, and then how it was conducted, and what it does in its indirect way, deal with those details of what happened at the compound.
Well, the visit, of course, was an appropriate thing for the president and commander-in-chief to do. I thought it was just the right thing to do, and for me, it was a moving day. I thought it closed the circle with the other recollection we all have of a president at ground zero. We think back to George W. Bush. President Bush in the rubble right after 9/11 with the bullhorn in what I believe was the finest moment of his presidency, saying, you know, the people who knock down these towers will hear from all of us soon. That was an incredible moment, an indelible moment to me. And so in a sense, the president goes to, President Obama goes to ground zero. Osama bin Laden is now dead. Ground zero looks very different, and new buildings and memorials have been constructed or are under construction. It's a closing of the circle for me.
And the president certainly was not trying to take singular credit. It seems, certainly given that he invited President Bush to join him, a decision President Bush decided not to do. He decided not to come along, but he certainly made the effort to share the credit, didn't he?
He did make the effort to share the credit, and he took pains, I think. One might have expected him to give a speech at Ground Zero. He decided not to speak at Ground Zero, and I think the feeling in the White House was that it could be seen as political. They didn't want anything about this occasion to seem political. This was an occasion for the president to represent the nation, to represent the feelings and emotions of the nation on a really moving day.
Gene, going forward, the White House has decided to make no more comment about the details of what happened inside the compound, especially now that they've got a flow of conflicting details. The solution is to make no more comment about it. I want to read you a tweet that Michael Moore sent out last night. Michael tweeted, "What's so wrong with just saying the truth? We executed him."
Well, I'm sure that's not what the rules of engagement for the encounter actually said. But what's so wrong with saying that, you know, if you come across Osama bin Laden's lair, you're not going to proceed under the assumption that an arrest is going to be made. You expect resistance. You're going to go in guns blazing. And I think everyone understands that and everyone approves of that. And as far as the White House reticence is concerned, they gave a lot of detail at first. Inevitably, some of that detail turned out not to be right. I think they made the wise decision that, at least for now, let's wait until they get a few more of the facts and a few more of the details before they put out another detailed story, which inevitably would then have to be revised at a later date. So I think it's probably wise to just be mum for a little while until the dust settles.
And it seems the Attorney General essentially answered Michael Moore yesterday in congressional testimony. He said, look, this guy was a target of war. It is perfectly acceptable within war to go after certain targets, including commanders that he took bin Laden to be. So there is that answer out there already. Eugene Robinson of MSNBC and The Washington Post, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Great to be here, Lawrence.